Like this? Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So maybe be in the middle, because if you're holding the mic. Okay. So you're not going to draw any attention. A 6'9" Jew holding an interview mic, a reporter's mic, walking down Central Avenue. Right. So last week we did this walk, and I had a lot of people were concerned about my heavy breathing. They thought maybe I was in danger, but I said it was exaggerated because I was wearing a lapel mic. It was right on my chest, and it exaggerated the panting and breathing. So now we have like a reporter's mic that's on a stick.
Tell that to Masaskin.
So, so this voice here, this Mendy Herz, the great Cantor, the well-known Cantor who joined me on a couple of my podcasts about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur davening.
I was practicing Kel Malei Rachamim.
Oh, really?
Okay, another morbid humor.
Okay, and Avi's here again as well. Avi's the founder of the Walking Farbrengen. Yeah. Founding
this
member.
speed we're putting on calories. What do you think?
Okay, fine. Okay, let's speed up.
Evening.
Fine.
Avi, you think we're putting on calories at this speed?
I think we're doing great. I think any movement is good movement.
Positive, I like it.
Avi's very positive. He's very gentle. He made it very easy for me to make this commitment because he said, we don't have to walk crazy distances. We don't have to walk crazy speeds. Yeah. So this week, can I do a rabbi thing for a second?
Sure.
Okay. So this week is Parshas Lech Lecha.
My favorite.
Really? Is it really? Oh,
yeah, because my name is Avraham. Yeah.
When did you change from Avram to Avraham?
Yesterday.
Yes.
So, Lech Lecha means go.
To you.
To you, yeah. Lech, go, Lecha, to you. But don't you see how it's connected to this little endeavor we're doing?
The going.
Absolutely.
The going, yeah. Halicha means going.
Yeah,
Lech means, it literally means walk.
Right.
Yeah, so it means go. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing.
And that's what we're doing. So we're literally Lech Lecha-ing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all right.
There are a lot of connections.
And I see the streets are kind of empty. I remember the last time we did this walk, it was Motzei Shabbos. And, Central Avenue was
Hopping.
on Saturday night.
Last night was busy. I walked out. I went from like 10:30 to 11:30 with my wife.
It was like the pizza shop crowd?
Hopping. Oh,
Out on
pizza
the
shop and then
sidewalk.
some crowd.
Yeah. You went out with your wife last night?
We took a walk.
It's very nice. You 2 nights in a row, you taking walks?
Well, one with my wife, one without my wife.
The Henny Youngman joke. He says, the secret to marital harmony is my wife and I. We go out for a candlelight dinner twice a week. She goes Mondays, I go Wednesdays. Yeah.
Do we have a drum? What is it called?
A rim shot.
A rim shot.
Yeah.
Insert here. Now, Pizza was packed last night.
All the
David's wasn't as busy last night. In
I don't
Five
think
Towns.
You should mention these stores unless they're going to pay for product placement.
Shout out, no free shout out.
This is a very popular podcast. I got a lot of comments. By the way, you want to know something that I felt was like, Avi, you're going to, I think, feel good about this. Did I tell you? I don't think I told you.
What's that?
A lot of people told me they saw what the podcast was, and so they walked while they listened to it.
That's awesome.
And
That's
they
great.
themselves did the mile walk.
That's great. That's the name of the game. That's what we're.
It was a 1 mile walk. It was a half-hour podcast.
Right. Listen, slowly. A little bit is all.
I'm bringing the negativity tonight.
By the way, one person told me he did it on double speed, and he didn't finish the mile.
By the way, double speed's is a real sickness. I cannot listen to anything in normal speed. People talk to me regularly. I'm like, could you speed it up already?
Right. My kids do that. Anytime they're listening to any voice notes or anything like that, it sounds like chipmunks talking.
I got used to it. It's really, really bad. Because I'm like tapping my feet when people talk to me.
Real life is too slow for you.
Oh my God. It's a bad thing. Yeah, the streets are kind of quiet.
Yeah. It's getting colder.
It's starting to get cool. Yeah. It's cooling off. It's oh, you know what? It's interesting, but this is a very Jewish neighborhood, and that is evident from the absence of of any type of October 31st activity right now.
Right.
What is October 3rd? Oh,
Halloween.
tonight Halloween?
Right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
As my coworkers called Jewish Purim. What do they call the Purim? They call Purim Jewish Halloween.
Right.
I was like, close, but
Not exactly.
not exactly.
You know that the Lubavitcher Rebbe went to Williamsburg in Tufshin Yud Daled. That's 1950. Well, it was still 53 because it was October of 53. To be Menachem Ovel, the Satmar Rebbe, the Divrei Yoel, who lost a daughter, Leileno, and the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, went to be Menachem Ovel, the Satmar Rebbe. And apparently, it was either the day of Halloween, it was close to Halloween, and one of the things they discussed at the Beis Ovel in Williamsburg was, does Halloween have the status of an idolatrous Yom Tov according to the Mishnah in Avodah Zarah? It says certain rules for Jews to abide by regarding their dealings with idol worshippers 3 days before and after their idolatrous holidays.
So what was the...
I don't know the conclusion, but I know that's one of the things they discussed.
Wow.
And I'll tell you an interesting thing in conjunction with that. The Rebbe was in correspondence with Rabbi Zevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shlomo Yosef Zevin, who was
Hasidic Tales?
Hasidic
There's a
Tales,
book, yeah.
in
Read that as a kid.
Talmudic Encyclopedia. He lived in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
So Zevin had a friend named Gold. I think his name was Zev, Rabbi Zev Gold, who was privy to the correspondences. He saw the letters that the Rebbe was writing back to Rabbi Zevin, and he was very, very impressed by the Rebbe's responses. And just from reading these responses, remember, this is the days where there was no internet. You weren't bombarded constantly with images and recordings and sound and sights of people. So if you lived in Israel and you had a friend corresponding with an American rabbi, so these pages, these papers, were the only thing that maybe he'd seen a picture of the Rebbe, but it's not like he had a lot of material from there. It was just these letters, but the letters were so they spoke to him so much as a scholar that he started to form a very deep attachment to the Rebbe, even though he hadn't met him.
Just through somebody else's correspondence.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Being a fly on the wall.
Secondhand.
Right, exactly. So he apparently came to this same Beis Ovel, to this Shiva house, like we call it in America, the Shiva house. And you know the joke about the Shiva house?
No.
But the guy's on his deathbed.
And I'm on the dark humor.
And so the guy's on his deathbed.
After the funeral, did I just kill
Yeah,
the
you
joke?
got, no, that's very good. That's
Sorry.
like the Chaim Cohn move where you
Number
say
53.
Number 53. So the guy's on his deathbed and he smells his wife's brisket and he's like, oh, darling, you wanted to make me my favorite meal before I die. Just bring it here, I'll have a little taste. I'm very weak, but I'll just have a little taste. She's like, no, that's for the Shiva.
All I want before I go is a piece of Mama's apple strudel. That's from the Yiddish for coming, I believe.
Was that the same as Hello, Louie?
Hello, yes, hello, Louis.
Okay. So this Reb Zev Gold he went to the Shiva house, to the Satmar Rebbe. I think.
Oh, so he made it to New York.
Okay,
So he had a shaykhus eventually.
Well, here's the story.
Oh, okay.
So he went to New York and he was at the Satmar Rebbe's house, which I think is on Rodney. So my Satmar friends will tell me, will correct me. I think it's on Rodney. So I've never actually been to the house. I haven't seen it, but the way it was described to me is that there are steps in front, which is not uncommon in Brooklyn. And the Rebbe was coming out as this Reb Zev Gold was going in. And he sees the Rebbe, or maybe somebody told him that's the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and immediately clicked with him. This is the person who's...
This is Schneerson.
Yeah, who's watching the correspondences, and he's very, like we say in Yiddish, der Numen, he's very drawn to him. So he says to him, Rebbe, hab ich moire es ach wer eira chosid. He says, I'm afraid I'm becoming your chassid.
Worse things have happened, yes.
And the Rebbe says to him with a big smile, "Was darfst du es tun mitoich yira? Kannst du es tun mitoich ava? Why do you have to be afraid? Why do you have to do it out of fear? Become a chassid out of love."
This is part of the Rebbe's language, choosing your language right properly.
Always emphasize the positive.
Positive.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't taken that to heart yet, apparently. So, back to Halloween,
Yeah.
because it's the Halloween, we're making it a Halloween themed walk.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to leave like stuff out for the non-Jews who come to your home to be a good neighbor?
Mishum Eva. No, actually,
It's a pagan holiday?
I think originally, yes, it is.
yeah.
It is totally pagan. And see, my parents always told us growing up, like if we ever had an inkling of maybe we could just, play with it as an American type thing.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah, let's just like Thanksgiving with candy. My parents were like, "Do you know how many pogroms there were
Right.
on Halloween?" And I was like, "Psh, shut it down." Yeah. Then the guilt kicked in. It's like that's
That's cool.
It's like
Jewish
that-
guilt.
I didn't finish my dinner. Starving kids in India. No, the table for the Russian Jewry. The seat at the empty chair. Yeah.
Yeah, or the bar mitzvah twins. That was like
Is that a thing?
that was a guilt thing, yeah, for sure. In the 80s, like every suburban kid, you had to be twinned with a Russian refusnik kid.
So this is before they started planting trees.
This was after the trees. Trees were since the 40s.
The trees.
Yeah, trees
So
was
you
always
double dip for your bar mitzvah. You got a tree and a twin.
and a twin. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We love this religion. They're taking away half our stuff. They're giving it to a twin that I've never met, and we're planting trees in Israel. A place it was before birthrights, and not everybody went.
Right. But
Okay.
this is like a real thing. Like you'd hear once in a while. This is like a total American 80s thing. It'll be like, your Russian twins family just got out. It was a totally different reality back then. Very, very, very few Russians got out. It was a big deal.
Or it was the
big
Yaitse.
deal.
It was
My
the
family
being
got out
Yaitse.
early. My
When?
dad got out in 1970.
How did he get out in the 70s? I guess some people got out.
He actually had a visa to go to Israel in 67, and then the war broke out, and he couldn't leave. And then they couldn't get another visa until 70, and they got a visa to come here. So he came here in 1970.
Where was he living?
He was living actually in a small town called Salish, which is where the Alter Rebbe's father is buried. That's where my father grew up. He was born in an even smaller village a couple of miles away, but when he was a little baby, they moved to Salish, and that's where he lived until he left Russia. And that time it was Russia. Today it's Ukraine.
You ever been?
I was in Uman. I went to Uman for Rosh Hashanah for 5 or 6 years in a row, but I never
And your wife
ventured.
said, Avi, we need you back home.
Right, but I never ventured out of there.
So you really never, well, you drove. How far is the airport from
So
Uman?
I used to fly into Kiev, and
The
then
Stones
we
and
used
Bones
to,
drive.
Right, and then we used to get into a cab, and then later on it was like a mini bus, and it would take about 3 hours to get from Kiev to Uman.
Have you ever done that trip, Rabbi Taub?
No.
They have a
You never
Chabad
been,
minion
you
there.
never been to
know
Russia?
No. No.
Yeah, you lost them at Minion.
I was considering going to the
I like how
ditches.
you're ignoring me.
There's what?
I said you lost them at Minion. You're trying to entice you that there's a Chabad Minion at Uman.
Yeah. No, you didn't lose me. It's just not a draw for me. But yeah. So, there's a grave in Berdichev, which is apparently the only grave that survived the desecration and destruction of the cemetery. It's a grave from the 1700s from Liber Godel, and I'm descended from him.
Wow.
So I've spoken to some other people who are also descended from him. I spoke to the Kleins, like Yeoman Klein's family.
Yeah.
So they are also descended from Liber Godel. We spoke about maybe taking a trip to Berdichev and go to the cave of
Yeah,
Liber
now is
Godel.
probably not the best time.
No, it's probably not.
No. Well, probably cheaper to fly though.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. I mean, how's your lateral movement?
Right.
You go side to side quickly?
Duck.
Avoiding mortars.
Yeah.
No, but it's a wake up call when you get there and you really see what the shtetl looks like, because there's like, you go out of the big cities in Ukraine and Russia, and it's literally 100 years in the past.
Yeah.
It's like old babushkas on the side of the road, peddling,
Yes.
people moving cows and goats and sheep along the road. It's really like, and all of a sudden we're like,
Early years when I used to go to Uman, they would shut the water off during the day.
oh, we had hot water only after 9 o'clock at night. Like 9 to midnight, there was hot water. It was salt water, pumped right from the Azov Sea. I was actually in Mariupol, and it was not brutal. It was different.
Yeah.
I would say that much. But this is a mile, by the way.
When we get back to where we started, it's over
Really?
a mile.
Oh.
Doesn't feel like it because we have such an interesting conversation.
I'm gonna prepare next time. We're gonna be in trouble.
So I'll tell you what I prepared. A thought. This is very prepared. Might feel too didactic, but I'm going to go for it. Maybe let's turn on Chestnut so we don't have to be so like out in the open walking down Central Avenue. I'm a little
Leaders religious.
self-conscious, but that's the base of Migdash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to go on Central?
No, I can
Whatever
go.
you
So
want.
let's go on Chestnut. Be careful. Right. Be careful. Yeah. Okay. This is a lot of traffic for Cedarhurst. Okay. This is like the Fifth Avenue, like in Manhattan.
Right.
Fifth Avenue. This like
Kid.
yeah.
When you look at the Dogish of Kid, Fifth Avenue.
For the Chafadim. Yeah. So the whole idea, we said Lech Lecho, you should go, or literally walk.
Are you really giving us a heads up to tomorrow's class, or this is totally different?
Totally
topic?
different. No, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't recycle
Testing
this.
material.
So,
I'm a good recipient. I'll laugh.
so this is not there's no joke.
Oh, no
this is
joke.
serious. It's not somber, but like thoughtful. So, the idea of going, of progressing, of moving. It's interesting. The act of walking itself is sort of a metaphor for all types of progress in life, because when you walk, every step you take, you're actually falling, and then you catch yourself. But the best proof of that, we don't think of it like that because we've been walking probably since we were like
Watch toddlers walk.
toddlers, right? Exactly. Watch a toddler, or watch somebody whose foot catches on something, and they can't move their foot
Oh,
forward.
I thought you were going to say try not to laugh.
No. and
I'm an evil person.
watch when some like your foot, like the booby trap when
Yeah.
you have the tripwire in the jungle.
Yeah.
You know what that's like. So your
Yeah,
your
all my
foot
years in the jungle.
Yeah, so your foot stays back. You can't bring it forward to catch yourself. So then you fall flat on your face. But every step is actually an act of falling. You destabilize yourself. You put yourself off balance, and then you catch yourself with your front foot, and then you
Watch the sidewalk.
then you alternate. Yeah, watch the bump in the sidewalk. So
We had a case in point.
it's
Maybe it would've
interesting
enhanced
that
the class.
walking is a constant process of surrendering your stability. If you retain your stability, you stand planted in the ground, then you're safe. You're not
But you
going to
go
fall.
nowhere.
But you go
You don't
nowhere.
move.
You don't move. So that's progress. Progress is you have to surrender your footing. You have to give up the stability that you achieved. But that's the only way to get somewhere else. And it's
To make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs.
That's a beautiful thought.
yeah, and then you got to think about like while you're cracking the eggs, like if someone just take a picture of the eggs and then take a picture of the broken shells, I guess with the egg
The
in a
runoff.
cup, they're like, well, yeah, what did you accomplish? Well, then you got to wait till the next picture to see the fried omelet. But if you don't see the fried omelet yet, if you come in the middle of it, you're like, oh no, you had something good and you lost it.
Right.
Till you see the culmination of the process, it looks like a disaster. It looks like you took something that was good, you lost it. Now you don't even have that anymore.
It looks just like breaking. You don't see the breaking
right.
to heal. It's like working out, tearing muscle to build
right.
stronger muscle.
Yeah, I don't think we're here.
No.
No, this is aerobic exercise. Although maybe I bet you people are going to ask me to put the lapel mic back because they're going to say they were inspired by the panting. Could be people
Don't
like
write off that you're not panting in this one.
you have to hear the playback.
We'll find out soon
Yeah.
enough.
Well, I'm going to get a special EQ, like what do you call it? The filter,
the play-
equalizer.
the
Yeah,
play.
yeah, noise canceller cancels out panting.
Listen,
Yeah,
panting means you're alive.
yeah,
See, there's always a way to look at it.
yeah.
So that's
Man, you
life
were
in
just
general.
Positive.
Look at me.
Wow. We're completing the walk and you're already turning positive.
What do you say about Kanye West?
Nothing.
hater and an idiot.
Useless. These things don't ruffle my feathers.
Uh-huh.
It's racism is scary, but I still think it's a fringe. I mean, it's not good what he's saying, but
Yeah,
are you losing sleep from Kanye West?
I don't think it's a fringe at all, unfortunately. I don't think it's a fringe at all. I think that the trend has been very, very frightening. It's becoming more and more common to have people say outrageous things about Jews, and it's totally acceptable, and you know, we've seen this before. We've seen this in every single generation. So I don't think that it's okay, and I don't think that it should be minimized. It's serious stuff.
But minimizing? No, I think we should talk about it. Oh, we're gonna get into politics all of a sudden. I don't think it should be canceled. I don't like the whole canceling thing, because then you're just hammering home everything he's spouting.
It's not about, to me, it's not about canceling.
It's education.
Businesses that don't want to do business with him because he's an animal have every right to do that. It's
But
not.
is the
it's
businesses not wanting to do business because everybody's whining, or because because that's what they actually feel?
Because certain things are not acceptable, and that's one of them. You can't do that. You got to understand that rhetoric and those narratives, number one, are totally false, and number two, historically have been used to justify murdering Jews. We're not talking about they were not nice to us. We're not talking about they said mean things to us. We're talking about they killed 2 out of 3 Jews in Europe, put us in ovens and gas chambers, using those types of narratives and rhetoric. That's not okay. You can't accept that, and you can't make believe that it's not true.
I don't think it's accepted. What do you think, Rabbi? Is it accepted?
I think that because of the internet algorithms, which are focused on engagement,
Right.
they have made everyone more extreme. Whatever you're into, they make you more extreme, including evil opinions
Yeah.
have become less fringe. And
Evil opinions have become less fringe, or voices, megaphones have become less fringe. I think it's always there. I think just everybody has a mic now.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, one time I was walking down the street and some guy handed me a flyer.
For Louis Farrakhan,
And-
who'd you have in your?
No,
you
no,
had-
I bet I have gotten that. Yeah, the Final Call newspapers. No, it was like a white supremacist guy, and but it was this is back in the '80s, so it was like hand drawn, photocopied, copy of a copy. It was terrible, but it was really dark and disturbing. I remember reading it with like these terrible caricatures on it, but it was probably the first real racist propaganda that I'd seen in real life. And sometimes when I see crazy stuff online, I think to myself, well, when I was a kid, that guy would just be going to the library and making 20 photocopies of his craziness and handing it out on the street corner.
And nobody would take it from him.
Right.
And
You
put it on
everybody would
Twitter
see
and
that
a million
he's
people-
Now it's on Twitter and a million
Right.
people see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's hatred, or do you think it's just stupid?
I think people,
Do you think it's
People
espousing something that they believe and know and educated it and real hatred, or is just morons
I'll give you
being
an example,
morons?
Kanye West himself. I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but he's clearly upset. And I'm setting aside his mental illness because to me it's neither here nor there. He's angry, he's upset, he's got some personal stuff going on, and with his family, with his finances, with his business. And when people are angry, they look for an outlet. And
A
unfortunately,
scapegoat or an outlet?
the anti-Semitic trope is a real tried and true. It's an easy one. It's a classic. It's a classic one. So the Jews are always the classic boogeyman. And it's
From the
just-
left and from the right.
For both sides, Dershowitz once said, he said, the only thing that the far left and far right have in common is anti-Semitism.
Well, it's that game, you know, the computer game where the thing goes back and forth, and it's like a paddle, and you have to play with you knock bricks with the paddle.
Yep.
So the bricks are one side, the paddle's the other side, and the ball is the Jew just getting knocked
my
back and
gosh.
forth between them.
Oh my gosh, it's true. We're coming to the end of our walk, so there's a concept of Messiah B'Toiv that you're supposed to end with something positive.
Go for it. Avi, you got something?
I don't know. I'm going to let the rabbi take this one. We got to know our place.
You know, I think Hashem has a plan, and Mashiach is coming, and we all know how this story ends. And apparently, the amplification of vile ideas is part of that plan. I'm not sure I know 100%. Well, I'm sure I don't know 100% the purpose of it, why these things should be amplified. But a couple insights I do have is that just like hate can be amplified today, love can be amplified more than ever before. You know, just like you had the guy who used to stand on the street corner handing out his hate, and now he's got a Twitter account. So too, what used to be confined to you walk down the street and you smile at your neighbor, you can do the same thing with a platform as well. So we could amplify
Spread
love.
positivity.
Spread positivity.
Mayor K.
He's into the.
That was a free shout out.
Yeah. Send him an invoice. Also, I think it's maybe important for us to realize that it's not just hate. Let's talk about specifically anti-Semitism. I think the Jews continue to be misunderstood. And you know what? How can you be so surprised? Because the concept of the Jews is a really wild concept. I've been studying what the meaning is. What is a Jew? What is Jewish identity? For years I've been studying it, and it's such a deep, perplexing concept, and it requires so much mystical explanation to even start to grasp it, because it defies the normal categorizations. It's not a race. There are Jews of all colors. I know Jews with blonde hair, blue eyes. I know Jews who have completely dark skin, black hair, brown eyes. I know it's not a language. You know, Jews who speak English, who speak French, who speak Russian, who speak Arabic. It's not a nationality. I know Jews who hold passports from all countries, and it's not even a religion, because a Jew could, God forbid, but a Jew could renounce his religious faith and he'd still be a Jew. And conversely, maybe let's turn around here.
It's a birthright.
You could have somebody who unofficially embraces the Jewish religion without a conversion, without a halachic conversion. So that doesn't make them Jewish just because they believe in the ideas of the Jewish religion. So what I'm saying is, Jewish identity, it doesn't conform neatly to these categories like race or nationality or language.
We're not simple. That's your point.
Well, here's the thing. It's a metaphysical thing. It's a spiritual condition. And the Jewish nation is a nation of souls. And that's a weird concept. And so it's not that surprising that people misunderstand the Jews. And I guess it's not that surprising that when people are confused about life, they make up weird things about Jews, because they have a hard time understanding who are these people, what's up with them. So I think we become sort of like, not to invoke a meme from last year, but Jewish space lasers. So it's like
Last year.
Yeah, it's very 2021, Jewish space lasers, but it's like,
Jews in space.
why are
That History of the World Part 2 that never happened?
right? Mel Brooks. But why do people say Jewish space lasers? Nobody's saying that about other races, ethnicities, because
We're not a tangible thing, I think.
yeah, that's right. So it's almost like any weird thing you say about the Jews, almost you could believe.
Right.
Like they'll tell you Jews are from Mars. Oh, really? Okay.
You know, it's funny, since I'm the younger one here on the group, recently, since this whole Miami Boys Choir, the Yerushalayim explosion, so there's been other explosions that have come to surface. There's like this nanny in Florida. She's a non-Jewish nanny, but she's big on TikTok now with the frum world. A lot of frum people are following her. She nannies Jewish kids. So you see the outside perspective of somebody appreciating Judaism because she's learning it from the ground up. And she's appreciating it. It's like we take it for granted, and people who don't know laugh at it. But she's living in it, but she's not keeping it. But she's gaining an appreciation. She has a massive following on Instagram and on TikTok. And another guy recently, somebody sent me, who's reacting to Jewish videos like positively, and he's like, it's a more positive twist that if you actually sit down and delve into it, it's if you don't look at it superficially, if you actually see what the customs are and why we do things, it's not as foreign, it's still going to be foreign, but you get a better appreciation for what it is.
Absolutely.
So we have to use the
so that those people have to be blown up more than
the
Kanye West of the world, I guess.
The philosemites. I think that's the word.
Well, she's been on a bunch of Jewish podcasts. No more free shout outs. I'm not promoting any more podcasts. But it's actually, it's heartwarming to see, and I see a lot of frum people are watching this guy react to videos. He's got I know it's not a big number, but 1,000 new followers, all Jewish, watching Jewish guys sing, and he's and then he's learning, why is the guy wearing tefillin? Why are they wearing a talis? Why are they wearing a kittel? Why is he wearing, what's the silver thing on the talis? So all these little things that we take for granted and we think is normal, and people may look at it weird, but they're getting an education. People are explaining it in the comment section, and and they're appreciating it, which is a nice thing to see, I guess.
Beautiful. Rabbi, you're going back to the old house, I see.
Yeah, I'm gravitating back to a cat.
Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still going. What I'm going to say is that, what was I going to say? I believe also...
I always avoid this at night, this street.
What the... Oh, yeah, right, yeah, okay. Yeah, we should probably stop here.
Peel off.
But anyways, yeah. So the, it's like wandering around. You're 100%, that was very sensitive of you. For such a cynical guy, that was so sensitive. Okay.
I grew up in Crown Heights where Union Street was taboo. You didn't walk there.
You know what, in the spirit of what you were describing about educating people about the Jewish way of life, we just made a hairpin turn because Mendy reminded us we're heading to the block of the women's mikveh, and it would be the sensitive thing and the modest thing to steer clear of there. So we're not going down that block. So to all the people of different cultures and backgrounds listening to this right now, you got a little glimpse into our interesting slice of life. Yeah. Okay. Let's see how. I was going to say though that maybe people virtually taking a walk with 3 Jews, that itself will be a positive force.
Oh, I didn't want people to think that I don't like to walk down this block because of safety, because
you already said you're not afraid of getting
my dog is on that block.
Your dog's
it's very safe.
Charlie, right?
Yeah.
Remember Charlie?
See, I don't bring her on the walks.
Yeah, people ask me, did Charlie come on the walk?
No, Charlie's not coming.
Okay, let's see here.
That's obviously saying he hasn't curbed his dog yet.
Right.
Okay, hold on a second. All right, hold the finish. Okay, good news, guys.
Wow.
1.46 miles.
Wow.
You have any kilometers, I
No,
bet.
for sure. No, it's not. It's one. Don't say.
Very impressive.
See, it says mile 1.46 mi run. It was gracious. It called it a run. Very nice. Took a screenshot. Okay, guys, we did it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next week we come prepared with a topic.
Yeah.
Oh, Central Avenue's coming to life.
Almost feels like it's a Shabbos.